Hello, welcome. Accentuate the positive, but eliminate the negative. That's what we do on Homo Politicus, a program in which we interrogate issues that tend to raise the national adrenaline, as I always tell you. Today, aberrant behavior. Federal government to shut filling stations for selling petrol at 1,000 naira per litre. You know, you are said to be errant because you are either law-breaking, criminal, or disobedient. At the time Nigerians raised concerns about the high cost of the commodity, that's the premium motor spirit petrol, by high cost of the commodity by independent petrol dealers. The federal government has also vowed to shut down filling stations that will be caught dispensing PMS at exorbitant rates. It is open knowledge that filling stations operated by independent oil marketers dispense petrol at between 900 and 1,000 naira per litre. These reprobate and evil operators seem unmindful of the efforts by NNPCL to mitigate the situation by fixing PMS pump price at between 568 naira and 617 per litre. The federal government's threat was declared through Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. However, the oil marketers claim they had been buying petrol from private depot owners for as high as 850 naira per litre, which explains the high cost of the product. That we have become a country of buccaneers is a matter for deep regret. This is a classic example of suffering in the midst of plenty, if you ask me. So let's interrogate this subject matter. I have the ever-breezy Cyril Abaku, broadcaster, communications expert, guesting. Cyril, I greet you.
Thank you, Citizen Jones. I'm glad to be here.
Every time, almost on a daily basis, you get distressed by stories oozing out of my country, like this one. I wonder how you weigh in on it.
Well, it's sad. I agree with your postulation, what you said in your intro, that being in this sort of situation is a matter for deep regret. Of course, it is a matter for deep regret. And I have to say that both fingers are soiled by the oil of corruption in this instance. Talking about the regulator, the NNPC, and the marketers. Because the marketers claim from the story that they've been buying petrol for anything northwards of 850 per litre for weeks. And they have to sell at a margin to stay in business.
And even that escaped the regulator.
That's where I'm going.
Go there, please.
And even if the regulator later found out, this story doesn't seem like the regulator got into an interaction with the marketers. The regulator got into an interaction with the media. So that in itself creates a lacuna of trust and of policy, effective policy making and implementation.
Yeah.
Because one of the key instruments of good policy making is feedback. There must be there must be feedback mechanism. You're not only there to enforce, you're there to secure the buy-in of all stakeholders. And so failure to do this is clearly... Now, let me even try to take a few quotes from the story I saw, because it's really sort of messy and tacky the way it came. Here, now, the regulator, right, was saying something to the effect that if we, and this is quoting the NMDPRA official who said, George, I think he said, if we get these outlets, speaking of those who are selling at 1,000 naira, as if we've not been buying for 1,000 naira and above for God knows how long. He said, the sudden epiphany is even funny and curious. He said, all we do, I'm quoting him, is to try and shut them down. Because NNPC is the company that brings in the product. And they tell us how much they sell as their ex-depot prices to off-takers. And we sit down together and work out the margins. And there is no way it should be that high. Now, there are two questions arising from this. If you have sincerely deregulated the downstream, and as you claim, it is a desire to make the market competitive, to this day, why is the NNPC the sole importer of the product? This comes to me like official admission, right? That the NNPC is the only person doing, and then, so you sit down with businessmen to work out margins. In the name of what? If there was anything about unfair pricing and profiteering, there are government agencies whose duty, like FCCPC, for example, is to protect consumers. But I'm wondering if NNPC alone is bringing the product into the country. When they bring it, do you as a regulator not to start telling people how to fix? As if so, those who if you're importing fuel in Lagos, the NNDPR will sit with you and tell you how much you sell. If you're going to sell it in Borno, seriously, they also sit and tell you what you do to sell. So they sit down and factor in how much they pay at police checkpoints, how much they pay if the car breaks down. So after putting everything together, they now tell you this amount of things to sell. It doesn't look like we are a free market anymore.
Yeah.
Government is not telling you,
or for that matter, a serious country.
Yes, I agree, because in a serious country, what government always has done is to create an enabling space for business to thrive, and then you make sure that there are no unscrupulous commercial practices.
Yeah.
But to sit down and tell them NNPC is so important and you must not sell, and this is the game you must be making, that sounds to me like an obnoxious and tendentious
it's all about the choices we make, I should say, because we read about Petrol, Brazil, and Aramco, Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
They are all producing countries, but they are more organized. And I do know that we had been a member of the OPEC for years and years now. And I imagine we should have been familiar with the dynamics.
And global best practices. Now,
yes.
Now, this story appears to have been born on the wings of an interrogation that a journalist from a national daily posed at the NMDPR. Now, to quote the NMDPR again, let me take this. Once we get these outlets, we are going to shut them down. And that sounds really funny.
Once we get these outlets, tells you they have a choice.
But I'm even wondering, how
it should not be rocket science to get these outlets.
Exactly, that's where I'm going. Why wait until now to be talking about this? We've had long queues in Lagos, Abuja, which nobody has an answer to, and then they will leave their own responsibility. They will abdicate it and try to pass the buck off onto the. Just hold on. He said NNPC tells us how much they sell. And there is no way the pump prices should be that high. We don't expect it to be higher than 650 per liter. But at the average, just hold on, at the average filling station that does not even have to dispense, have they gone to bother to ask? Have they bothered to ask to say, why are some people not even getting supplies? Because in a lot of places, it is black market people are buying. As a last 2 weeks ago, people are buying. We bought from the black market 5 liters for about 6,000 naira or so. Yes. So have they ever bothered to check why are some people not even getting products? I find it really funny and unpatriotic and that's putting mildly, that an agency of government will be talking to third parties instead of going to address the issue. Because you see, if you build a house without the permit, if you begin it today, by tomorrow evening you will come back and say that they brought a red paint to put an X mark and say stop work.
Stop work, yeah.
Government can be effective when government wants to be effective. This looks like talking tongue in cheek. This looks like playing the ostrich. This looks like playing to the gallery. This looks like they are gaslighting Nigerians and are taking their responsibility to play to the gallery and make it look like they are working. We've been buying fuel for upwards of 1-2 per liter, 1K per liter. So, isn't it because it's even Lagos? How are they buying fuel in Sokoto and Zamfara? We saw the stories.
See, let's consider one particular paragraph. Owners of these stations seem not to care about the cost of the product at retail outlets operated by the NNPCL. They seem not to care. That we have become a country of buccaneers, as I said in my intro, is crazy. You know, don't you think there are some people whose job it is to constitute the enemy within?
Mm-hmm. Again, of course, I mean, like it's a tragedy, it's a travesty of reality and of justice. Now, the matter is logical, and we can deconstruct it. We really can. The NNPC, okay, hasn't been so forthcoming and clean in its operations. We know that. And then you see, because when there's lack of good corporate governance, it has a way of cascading down the entire value chain.
Okay.
So this whole thing is just a little, what's it called? A little symptom, a tip, as they say, of the iceberg. Otherwise, ask yourself this question: if the independent marketers, as they are known, are claiming that they've been purchasing petrol at 850 per liter.
Yeah.
Not from the NNPC, but from private depot owners. Who are those private depot owners? And where do they get their own petrol from? So the NNDPRA is only, you know, like, frankly speaking, you know, if there was a way for the masses to also serve penalties to erring government agencies, frankly speaking, some of these people shouldn't even be there. They should be fired by now.
But I want us to tackle a particular issue. You said NNPC appears to be the only corporate body importing.
Yes.
But feelers are telling me that other folks are importing. But if the NNPC is the only body solely allowed to import petrol, that is a misnomer, especially in a country of over 200 million people.
No, it's an economic crime. Actually, it's an economic crime, right? So what must happen is, at the time the NNPC was private, was made a limited liability company. To go from NNPC, to NNPCL, that is to now start to spell the NNPC with an extra letter of the English alphabet. That needed only 2 strokes, right? One vertical stroke, and I think it costs about 2 million to learn how to spell the L. 2 trillion naira, by the way. So this is Jones. It costs us 2 trillion naira to learn how to spell, how to write letter L at the front of now. But after we succeeded in spelling that, in writing that L, the ownership now moved from the federal government back to the federal government. Yes, because the ministries of finance and petroleum became the only shareholders and owners of the NNPCL. It's okay. So we must now ask, who is the final authorizing power that is making them, that is giving them the sole authority to bring this into the country and to prosecute them? If any other person has been found to have been given license, maybe surreptitiously, to also bring in petrol, then you investigate and also prosecute. But because you see, when you hold back your hand from punishing bad behavior, what do you expect to happen? It will multiply.
You'll fester.
It will flourish.
Yeah. Again, many commentators have talked about Mr. President assuming the role of a substantive minister of petroleum resources. So I'm not interested in who wins the argument, but I'm saying, excepting for President Jonathan, former President Jonathan, all other presidents, all other presidents had been in charge of the industry. So what's there? Must we suffer in the midst of plenty?
The Bible says that where the carcass is, the vultures will gather. It's Nigeria's cash cow. It's Nigeria's biggest revenue earner. It's Nigeria's it's gold. You know, they call it black gold. Black gold. Yes.
Well, so we are messing with it.
But I mean, we've been messing with it for many years. Was it when I posted the other time that We couldn't have discovered oil in Nigeria in 1956. And in 2024, how many years is that? Now, close to 70 years. We are acting like we're in the kindergarten class of oil exploring countries.
That we fell from being number one in Africa to I don't know what number. Angola has overtaken us.
It's not only Angola. Namibia has potential that could potentially kick us out of the market. I think they found proven, is it 1 billion barrels or something in Namibia?
Seriously, the question comes, nags me all the time. Are we damned?
This is what I'm going to say. While the tap is flowing is when you put your hands in for a wash or for a bath. Because you never know what happens next, right? Growing up in the village, one thing we always saw was that people knew when to read the tide. And when the tide is flowing, is high. They go for a bath, for a swim, for a dive, because
and forget what the problem was.
Yes, and then after when they know that they should be leaving, they come out of the water. Sooner than later, you see that the tide has ebbed. While oil is flowing, is when Nigeria ought to make the most of it and push for its own agenda in the Community of Nations. If we wait until the oil civilization comes to an end, and then we are now caught behind. We are not caught behind. I don't think that anybody wants to be in that sort of unique situation. As they say, we need to make hay while the sun
shines. Again, I don't know. It's we are here at this stage by choice, and must we be here until goodness knows when? Now,
my other argument, you see, in Saudi Arabia, they had a petroleum minister who was there for nearly half a century. For nearly half a century. Because the king put him there and said, you know what, run the sector for us. And the man had been there for God knows.
He made a meal of it.
He made a meal of it, a national meal of it. Now, in Nigeria's own case, we've seen now that putting the ministry in the hands of Mr. President, Obasanjo did it in his second term, as soon as he won second term, and then pushed Engineer Funsho Kupoloko, his a friend, to the NNPC as GMD, right? As they normally say. President Buhari did it, okay, when we had the chief of staff Dublin as member of the NNPC board. Thereafter, what's his name? Now, Tinubu has also done it. But one thing to be taken away from it is that the president retaining the portfolio of the ministry is not in itself a magic wand to answer any problem.
But Siri, even that lends itself to a very heated debate, because in the Jonathan days, we had a minister that became enmeshed in more oily, in more sleaze than we thought.
In fact, and yet under Buhari it got worse. Because now there's a case of $75 billion, whatever, hanging on a member of former President Buhari's cabinet. I don't think the Zani Alice Mandeke is being tried. The highest that they even brought together was a phantom $2.1 billion oil arms deal. Nothing big, but we under Buhari we are told of $75 billion. Some people should be arrested and simply sent to jail.
Yes.
And they say, give us back our money. Give us back our money. But if we won't do the right things, all they talk about our oil being stolen, our crude being stolen, our crude is not being stolen, our crude is being diverted. Then there's another talk about a blending plant in Malta owned by sons. Look,
I wonder if that is a curious diversion.
There was a national daily.
Keep them talking.
Yes, sure. There was a magazine, I think it was The News, that carried the frontline story, the banner story that said Nigeria's sleaze machine. Talking about the NNPC, Nigeria's sleaze machine. Okay? So that's the poster boy of Nigerian corruption. Anybody who wants to fix this country has to first fix the NNPC.
No wonder a former British Prime Minister, if you remember, David Cameron, said Nigeria was fantastically corrupt. And that appellation seems to to be running the show here.
Yes,
because nobody is interested in going there. Nobody wants to go there.
You know, in the international milieu, bad news is good news, and I want to think that the same thing holds true for news anywhere in the world. So I don't.
They say the more bad, the more newsy it becomes.
Yes, but I don't quite share the sentiment really that Nigerians are really as corrupt as they want to make it to be.
But Siri, Nigeria can make a mess of boiling a 5-minute egg. If you see what I mean. Boil the egg for 5 minutes. He'll be boiling it for 1 hour. And when you question him, he says, okay, I just put it on now. And so we make a mess of almost everything.
Yes, we do. And
so these people who look at us from the outside are not necessarily giving us a bad name.
Yes, because a few of us have spoiled the name of the most of us. But hopefully the day comes when we have leadership, president that can stand up to the establishment, stand up to whatever cover may be anywhere, and tell them to their faces that, you know, it's game up. I like the way in America a man called Theodore Roosevelt did it. When the antitrust laws came under him, it was during the antitrust laws came. When he saw what J.P. Morgan, you know, and he blocked his business. Morgan went to the White House and said, Mr. President, what is the issue? Send your man to my man. If you have an issue with him, let's have a discussion. Roosevelt said, I'm not a rival business boss. I am the president of America. You know, he told him off. He said, send a man to my man, let them talk. He said, no.
More like saying, I'm in charge.
I'm in charge. There must be a Nigerian that will come to say, I am in charge. You know, corruption be damned, I'm in charge. And then take the tough decisions. If you won't do that, I can't imagine to see how.
See, well, the producer's index finger is saying we should apply the brakes. But is it possible in 60 seconds to wrap everything up? You know, two key things here. Some petrol or filling stations are known to be errant. And the thing has been tied to independent petroleum marketers. Can't we whip them into line? Is it difficult?
So when a situation has been inorganically orchestrated to be bad, you cannot now put the blame on those who want to take it one step further. All of them are equally guilty. The NMDPRA couldn't have abdicated its responsibility, then turned around to blackmail people who are managing to help the public get fuel. It is all a caricature of reality. If the NMDPRA is serious, they should look inwards, fix their own mess, fix their own rot, and then have the moral right to call errant marketers to order. Until they first looked in the mirror.
Not just call them to punish somebody.
Of course.
Yeah.
After they would have been punished for their own misbehavior. Well,
okay, we are done. We apply the brakes here, but not before thanking Cyril Abaku for your time. As always, your intervention. So ours here is to set the agenda and mold opinion in the hope that decision makers will take heed. We must stop here until the next time. Until then, this is yours sincerely, Citizen Jones Hussein saying bye-bye now. Take care. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.